Now, I think, and I'm not calling anyone out, and I'm not saying that I don't admire dedication to the professional wrestling business, but I think if you're sick, don't hang out in the locker room with everyone.
You think?
Maybe do the wrestle, put a mask on, and leave the changing room once you're like no longer needed there. Maybe.
Yeah. Also, apologies to listeners for some background noise. That's just some noise in the background. Yeah, I'm socially anxious. So, I was doing the social distancing thing before 2020 made it cool. And knowing people were sick, I kept to myself more than usual. Now, at the Manchester shows, it's a much friendlier atmosphere overall. I've been in some locker rooms where I feel kind of uncomfortable for reasons other than my general social issues. But Pinfall Wrestling is very welcoming, friendly, supportive. It's actually one of the best backstages I've ever been a part of. It's one of the reasons I love those shows. Plus, they treat me like I'm a bit of a veteran, because it's a lot of younger talent. And in that one area, I feel like I know what I'm doing. To the point where I give advice like it's worth listening to. So I'm saying I really like Pinfall. But there was more than one person ill. It had apparently been going around the Manchester scene. And I kept away from everyone because I didn't want to be ill, because I've got deadlines coming up. So tomorrow, hours before the deadline, I am going to be doing that feeling like shit, because now I'm ill and now it's everyone's problem. Got the sniffles.
Oh, I'm sorry you're poorly.
I am poorly. And a sore throat. That's always the worst bit.
I do not like a sore throat.
No. Like, my colds are very methodical, and it always starts with me feeling thirsty until I realise, oh no, I'm not thirsty, I am sick, and then it's all downhill. So yesterday was the rising of the sore throat, and today it is very sore. Does mean tomorrow it should be, that bit should have gone, but that'll be replaced by the coughing.
Right.
It's a bit of a shit time, all told.
It's not ideal, is it?
No, it is not. Match was good, though. That was fucking great.
I'm glad.
Did a kick.
Oh.
Did an punch.
Oh.
All the moves.
Yeah, you hit all the buttons on the controller.
Yep, I was just button mashing and doing.
Did you do high kick, medium kick, low kick, high punch, medium punch, low punch?
All of that except for the low ones, because with my knees, I ain't doing no low kicks.
Relatively low kick. Low kick that doesn't require going too low.
Yeah, sort of nuts and above. That's my wrestling style. That's actually the school of martial art that I practice. It's called nuts and above. Oh, God. And I played Double Dragon Revive, which is worse in a way.
Oh, really? That bad?
It's not good. It doesn't... I'll tell you what, right? It doesn't play as bad as it looks. And if you've seen it, you will know that information tells you fucking nothing, because it is one of the ugliest pieces of shit I have seen in a while. Anyway, we'll talk about that at some point.
I mean, we can talk about that now if you like.
Yeah. All right,
I'm not gonna scare you away from talking about a video game in the first 5 minutes.
Double Dragon Revive is fucking shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a new one, and if you'd have told me it was a PS2 game, I'd have believed you. Not a remastered PS2 game. If you'd have told me it was a PS2 game. And I'm one... I don't like a lot of kind of hyperbole with graphics.
I think you're being unfair. I'm looking at these graphics, and these very clearly look like an Xbox 360 arcade game.
Yeah. Yeah, I was being hyperbolic, you are right. Like, as soon as I said it, I was like, you know what, it is, I should have said 360.
360
Oh,
arcade.
yeah.
It's a 360 arcade.
Yeah.
100% this is XBLA I'm looking at.
Yeah. Except some of those games were good.
Well, those are, we're just talking about visuals.
Visually,
here.
it's so ugly.
It's got the look of, what is the most 3D we can do with the change down the couch?
Yeah. The resolution is like it was poorly upscaled from like a portable device or something. And to see it in motion, it's just sad. The kind of graphics, and I can't explain why, but there are some video game visuals that look unhygienic to me. And I can't tell you why, but it looks grimy. It looks like I wouldn't want to touch it without gloves on.
It looks like someone did like model painting but didn't sand them down first. Like the texture's just not quite finished.
Inspired by Spruce Lee. Aha. Just say because of the model. Because of the...
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
Right. Yeah, so it doesn't play as bad as it looks. But it doesn't play much better. To also, damn, with the faintest of praise, it's also not as bad as the last one they did, Double Dragon Gaiden, which was one of the most pathetic games I've played in ages. This one was developed by Ukes.
Oh.
The guys that did the old WWF games in like the early 2000s.
Right.
And it's amazing how it doesn't seem like they've evolved in any way past that. Those games were good. This, at times, because of the way the characters move and everything, and because of the visuals, it does feel a bit like the old SmackDown games, but bad, and all the worse for being so dated. The perspective is awful. The kind of 2.5D kind of thing where you can run, you've got full range of motion in a space that isn't quite 3D and not 2D, and trying to gauge where you are is awful. The jumping is, well, it's like jumping in a brawler, in a beat-em-up. So, you don't have much control over it. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because they decided what this needed was platform sections.
Oh, no.
With that perspective and with beat-em-up controls. Really poorly done ones, like visually dizzying ones. Rotating platforms and shit. Really bad. There's something there that would be promising. In the early levels, like the first two, because there aren't many, in the first two, I was like, this is edging to good. There are little things like the amount of stuff you can just sort of kick at enemies, like debris, kicking debris. If you're near walls and stuff, you'll like have special animations for slamming them in. There's lots of environmental stuff that you can kick guys into and stuff like that. And some of the weapons that you can pick up are quite cool. Like there are these cool nunchucks and stuff. But then you have to deal with the fact that it is so slow and unresponsive as a game. Attacks are awkward with hitboxes that I don't think account for the weird perspective and positioning of stuff. Your recovery off attacks is terrible, to the point where enemies can quite easily juggle you between each other. Like, you will get ping-ponged about by stuff. Or, if you're in a platforming section with, like, rolling giant balls, it's very easy to be juggled by a series of those. And that's annoying. I don't think I'm going to get past the penultimate level boss, which is all of the other bosses you fought previously at once. And it's just ridiculous. It's just fucking pathetic. Like, just... And then they throw regular mooks on top of it, and you are just thrown around. The grab attack barely works. Enemies are not quite damage sponge, but not as fragile as I think many of the regular ones should be. Yeah, it's just awkward, clumsy, and not very pleasant. And it's made all the worse by the fact that there are points where I'm like, this could have been something. There's something to this. But it just can't break through all of the stuff that is genuinely unpleasant to have to play. So that is a shame. I like my brawlers. I like a good beat 'em up. And it's sad that Double Dragon has struggled ever since Neon in, what was that, 2012 or something? Not since then. And we're at a time where we've had games like Streets of Rage 4 came out. That game was fucking brilliant. I replayed a bit of it not too long ago, and it's still so good. Shredder's Revenge, the Turtles one, that one was bloody lovely. And we've had some others come up, but Double Dragon absolutely floundered. Like, Arc System Works is just not putting in the effort and the resources that they should with it if they want to do it justice. And it's just sad. And I don't know how they thought putting this out was in any way acceptable.
And it's a shame because, like, if you look at their, like, traditional fighting game output, like, Arc System Works is on a fucking roll at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, they are putting out superbly high quality work that just doesn't seem to also apply to, you know, some other bits of their output.
If I didn't know, if I wasn't familiar with Arc System Works, I wouldn't have believed that, like, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, which I played a hell of a lot of after I found out it had accessibility options like Street Fighter, I played a hell of a lot of that. I wouldn't have believed they published Double Dragon Revive as well, because it is the kind of thing you'd see from the game mill. It's that kind of, we've got a license, let's throw out some dodgy, cheap ashcan project. Aside from just how bad it is to play, I can't get over the visuals. Like, I'm not one who thinks graphics are the be-all and end-all, and I've played some ugly games and liked them a lot. But what are you doing? If you didn't want to, or couldn't, make it look pretty, lean into, like, PlayStation 1 graphics. That's popular at the moment, you know?
Right.
Give us chunky polygons or something. Really lean into it. What are you doing with that?
Maybe they were just trying to be ahead of the curve and thought that the nostalgia was ready for Xbox Live Arcade 360 visuals to be the in kind of retro. They're trying to jump the gun, like start a new trend.
It actually did get me thinking about that, because
we are reaching that point pretty rapidly. We are.
Right.
But that was the era where stylism was
died.
It was supplanted a lot more by photorealism, or at least their idea of it. And it all became about trying to make games look as good as possible. You look at a PSX game, and you see those graphics, and you think, that is a PSX aesthetic. I recognise it. It has a character to it. And now that we're at this point where we're looking at PS2, even 360 era stuff, I'm like, can you sell that as an art style? I'm not sure if you can. I guess we're going to end up seeing attempts.
I mean, there has to be someone who has a sense of nostalgia for that visual aesthetic. There has to be someone. That person exists. Is that enough to justify a revival?
There's maybe a case to be made for the PS2 having a certain aesthetic. And maybe I'm just too old to see it, or not far enough removed yet. But I can't imagine... I can't look at the 360 and say that era had a look the way the PlayStation 1 did.
I mean, it had a look in terms of colour palette choices more than it did its 3D graphical choices.
I think you can absolutely copy its aesthetic. You can absolutely look at a lot of the, like, you know, many of the Gears of War clones that came out, stuff like that. Big chunky boys, waist-high cover. Because I've seen some games attempt that. There are games I've played where I'm like, this feels like the old middle shelf era of the 360. That Evil West was one of them. But in terms of using the graphics as an art style, the way we do with the way we see with the PSX, that I'm not so sure about. I just feel like people would look at it and possibly quite rightly think, it just looks like a game from now but shit.
Yeah. What about you, Conrad? What have you been playing this week?
Well, I did play Ball X Pit this week.
Oh.
Yeah, you having any different reaction to it this week?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. My reactions are very different. And just up top, if you are on the fence or curious or interested in Ball X Pit, listen to the conversation we had about it last week. and if you don't want, any kind of spoiler on it, because there's some things I need to talk about a little bit. I think that this has killed the survival genre for me. I think I'm done.
Oh.
Yeah. It's interesting. It started with something you had said last week, Steph, about the cogitator. And this is the character that just takes over the decision-making process of choosing which balls and accessories to select at level ups. And you had suggested that it wasn't particularly fun.
I find myself not very interested in that character for sure.
Right.
Because I like to choose my builds.
And I completely get that. But the first thought I had after using it is, well, this is useful because it's finding combinations for me.
Now, I will say, yes, that is, I completely agree with you there. It is functional because I was scratching my fucking head about a certain combo and got it off. Not the cogitator, there's another one that's even more extreme.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah.
That's the next. That'll be a step on our tail here in a moment.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I found it useful, but it was the first sign I think that something. And I think you're right. Like this, I think in general, if this were a black and white, one person's wrong, one person's right situation, and that wasn't tied up in any sort of subjectivity, I think you're correct. That is not a good, ideal way to play.
I'm really liking how we're building this
Yeah.
case.
Well, when you get to the last character that's unlocked, for those who don't know and are still listening to this inexplicably, you get the auto battler, the radical. The radical is what he's called. But this character just plays the game for you. And this has a lot of practical benefit because there are a lot of characters in this game, and there's a lot tied up in completing the game with every character at every speed, and this facilitates that tremendously.
That is true. At 2 a.m. or when I'm working or something and can't be bothered, I have popped the radical on and gotten through some stuff.
Right. I've never played the last level of the game. As soon as I got the auto battler, something clicked in my brain. And I realized I am just draining my brain and attention into these games.
Huh.
The process of selecting balls, and all of that becomes rote very quickly. And then the cogitator removed that need for me to do it entirely. And so I was running, runs with the cogitator and someone else and just sort of mindlessly moving the cursor across and waiting for it to make its decisions and then moving on. Once the auto battler came into the equation, I didn't have to play the game anymore. And I realized that I was not actually deriving much in the way of satisfaction or enjoyment out of any part of the process. I was just doing it to do it. And there's an element of the addictive qualities of these games, and that these games are deliberately deploying some of the mechanics that we would rightly deride in other games that keep us locked in.
Well, I mean, that was actually part and parcel of Luca's design on Vampire Survivors.
100%.
Used to work, for those, just to give the listeners background, he used to work on casino machines and then thought, what if we made these dopamine hits in a game that wasn't trying to scam people for money and was just trying to give people that sense of, you know, that sense of reward. But yeah, you are right. Like, they are. I said in my review of this game, like, I'm so glad they're not monetizing this fucking thing.
But it is an interesting, the challenge there for me, from looking at it at that perspective, is then we are not addressing the disease, we're treating a symptom. And in a way that kind of feels weird to me too.
I think it's really interesting hearing you say this, and I think it's very notable that me and Steph have fallen on one side of this, and you've fallen on the other based on feelings about these automated characters. Because me and Steph have both fallen on the side of, yeah, there's some utility, but that's not really why we're interested in playing these. And I think, like, the thing that's clicking for me is, I got that ADHD real bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I need an outlet in my life for obsessive, repeated, just give me some dopamine. I, like, medically do not produce enough of them neurochemicals in my brain. And if I don't have shit like this, I am gonna get drawn to shit like gambling.
It keeps us out of trouble, keeps us off the street,
right,
basically.
Right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And this is, I think, the core of it is 100% you are correct that, like, this kind of addictive design outside of those dangerous spaces can be, for certain people, just a trap into losing time, and sure, it's not losing you money, but it's not really fixing the underlying problem. But on the other side, it can be, look, I know that my brain is going to seek a place of, like, cheap flashing lights and things going off and telling me I did good.
Yeah.
This is a really good, fun, safe place for me to get.
And I say this fully respecting what you've said, Conrad, because I think that's actually a really good point. And I'm actually genuinely pleased you brought it up. But from my end of it, I'm grateful that these games exist.
Oh, sure.
Like, I am so grateful for Vampire Survivors, for Ball X Pit, for those outlets, for my, you know, neurodivergent need for those dopamine hits in a way that's a lot safer than something else. And I know you're not saying, like, you're not dismissing that, and I certainly don't want to dismiss what you're saying as well, because honestly, I hadn't thought about it the way you thought about it, and that's actually really interesting.
So yeah, I think I think I'm done with this genre, and that's fine. Like, I did derive a lot of enjoyment from them, and they are fun, and a lot of them are really well crafted. Like, another thing, I saw someone in your Discord complaining about the city management portion of the game, and that's when I was having the most fun. For one thing.
Yeah.
That's when I was enjoying it the most. Also, it was really, really vindicating as someone who had a problem with the way that Hades would force you into downtime between every run to hear someone bitch about that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I find it interesting because, like, I think for all of us, that pair of characters has crystallized some aspect of, like, this has helped me see what I feel about this genre. And it has pushed us in very different directions, but I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I do, and I think it's very interesting that, like, it's a mechanic. They just went all the way with it. And maybe if they hadn't gone all the way with it, I'd have never reached this conclusion.
But I think that's a testament to the game, because I think part of what makes this game certainly what I've loved about it, is that it is so unafraid to fuck with itself. Like, and with just the mechanics of these types of games. Like, when I unlocked the Tactician, and I'm like, okay, like, when I saw that they made a turn-based version, which, again, I don't find all that exciting, but I think it's fucking brilliant that they did it. And yeah, I think I wouldn't say it was an intended consequence to have people, like, re-examining the entire subgenre this way, but I do think it's a credit to just how extensive the creativity is. Like, I feel like this is someone who was not satisfied just making a core concept that really worked, and they just kept wanting to tinker with it and see what else can we do with a very simple concept. Yeah, well done, I guess, for this game, for, like, breaking you on the genre.
Yeah, and to be clear, like, I've seen the ending of the game, which requires you to clear the final stage with like 10 characters.
Yeah, I'm on my way to that. I haven't seen the very, very end.
I've never played it, Steph.
I am so deeply fascinated by this. I genuinely, this might be my favourite conversation about a game we've had this year. This is bloody great.
No, this is genuinely, like I said, just... I'm really glad you brought that up. Because it is such a different perspective.
It's so different from the perspective I was planning to bring about Ball X Pit this week, which was, hey, they did a free update on Switch 2, and if you're playing over there, it now runs above 60 frames a second in handheld. It looks if you're just there for some dopamine, the Switch 2 version looks better now, and that's cool. That was my contribution, is faster moving dopamine, more frame rate of dopamine.
Well, what else have you played, Laura?
I have just about dragged myself away from Pokemon long enough to actually try some other things this week. The first of which that I've been really enjoying so far is there's a new Katamari Damacy game that's come out.
Yes, there is.
Once Upon a Katamari.
I have also played this week.
Yeah, how are you getting on with it?
I think it's lovely. I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it more than I've enjoyed a new Katamari in a long time.
Yes. So many of the prior Katamari games, post We Love Katamari, I think is probably the last really good one, just felt very retready. It didn't feel like they were adding much of anything in there that was interesting. There would be a little gimmick, and that'd be about it, and then I'd feel like I'm doing the same levels I was doing before.
Yeah, and this feels simultaneously more in line with how the old games played, less reliant on a new gimmick, but simultaneously it feels like they have more actual creative ideas to do with it. Mm-hmm. Conceptually, I really like the little narrative framing of it. I think they've captured that old cutscene and narrative quality of how to sell you on a Katamari plot. It's stupid, but it's very silly in very endearing ways. A lot of the things I've been really appreciating about it have been really stupid little minutia things I've liked. You can now customize, make a custom one of the cousins of the Prince of All Cosmos, so you can run around as a little custom designed little guy. That brings me a lot of joy. I think the core conceit is that you're basically jumping through time periods and doing Katamari in different periods of time. And I think that gives enough aesthetic and genre variance to really help levels feel distinctly different, because so many of the ones in recent years have just gone, the levels are the things get bigger.
You start in a house, and then you're in a little Japanese town, and then you're in that's...
Yeah, whereas now it can sort of play on that in micro scales, where it's you're in ancient Japan, we'll do a few different size scales of things in ancient Japan, but there's also a few different size scales of things to do in the Old West, for example, and I do think that goes a long way to keeping it feeling fresh, but also that it feels constantly it's changing up what the victory conditions are, just to keep the flow a little different. You've got levels that are your traditional, trying to make the biggest Katamari you can in the time. You've got ones that are more, here is a time limit, can you clear up 100% of what's in the level? There's lots of just slightly tweaked conceits that keep it from feeling like you're doing the same thing too many times repeatedly. It sort of loops around between a few different sub-genres to keep it going. It's just a good Katamari game.
Yeah.
Also, nice quality of life stuff as well, changing how the dash controls work. It's now just tap L2.
Quality of life is a big shift in this one. There are power-ups in this version, and some of the power-ups I find annoying. There's a stopwatch that allows you to catch, things that are in movement, which, on an individual basis could occasionally be useful.
It's often nothing.
It's often, just occupying the slot, and then I'm going to have to use it and wait for the time to run out before I can pick up the power-up that I just saw that I actually want to have.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that you can carry them between levels.
Yes.
And I think that that's valuable because the game's progression system is tied to collecting the hidden crowns in every level. Every level has 3 crowns.
3?
Yeah. and you have to find a certain number of them in order to gain access to stages. I find this frustrating, but there is a power-up that will point you in the direction of where these things are, including your other, like, level objectives. And it's just hugely... It's game-changing.
It's so useful for, I've done this level and I couldn't find any of the crowns or the hidden cousin that's somewhere in the level. I just couldn't find any of the shit that I was actually meant to be finding. Yeah, let me go to a level I know has that power-up, bring it over here, done.
Yeah, so that's... I do appreciate sort of the flexibility there. If I don't so much appreciate the inconvenience of having to go to another level to get a power-up and then come back in so that I can do the thing. Fine.
Agreed, but, like, I'm glad that's there, at least.
Yep. I do not give fuck one about customization in games. So, while I can appreciate that you and probably Steph would love all of the cousins things, I've always been annoyed by the existence of the cousins at all as a thing that get in between me and rolling up shit.
I tell you what, I've never gotten on with a Katamari game.
No.
I don't know what it is. I play them and I'm like, I feel like I'm always doing something wrong because I never seem to be good at them. And I was tempted to get this, but I was like, remember, Steph, you don't get these games. You don't understand them. Even though it's so simple. But I'm like, I'm rolling on the people, but it says I lost. I just don't have a knack for it.
The goals are less difficult to achieve in this one. They have rankings now. It's not so much, you have this high goal to reach. Now you have a pretty reasonable goal to reach with stages of ranking above that. So I do not find this anywhere now, and I'm still pretty early. I'm only like 3 eras in, but I'm not finding these to be particularly challenging from I need to clear the level perspective. If I want an S rank, yeah, they can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
But I don't need an S rank, so I'm fine with that.
Okay, I might look into it.
It depends how much you're okay with seeing, like, a middling level grade and going, that's okay, and moving on.
Yeah.
I've been very okay with doing that, but if you're gonna be frustrated by that, it's still challenging the way it used to be to hit those higher ranks.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to what I was saying about the customization, my issue is not with its existence so much as its insistence on telling me about it and interrupting what I'm doing to tell me about customization options. The tooltips in this game are over the top, unnecessary. There's just too fucking many of them. And the way that it has to teleport me to somewhere else to show me something all the time, I just find it disruptive.
You're not wrong.
I find that very, very annoying how the game likes to, oh, hey, this unlocked, let's go there now. And I was like, but I'm doing shit here. Let me do my shit here.
It's the problem that a few weeks ago I was having with the meteors showing up all at once in Mario Galaxy 2.
Yes.
It's I wanted to be getting on with making progress somewhere, and you keep sort of dragging me away from what I wanted to be getting on with.
That's actually a very... I know it's Namco Bandai that does this, but it is typically a very Nintendo thing to have that drag you off because we want to play the game our way on our timetable.
And it's not even that we're playing the game, it's just dragging me to a menu. Or to an environment where menus are.
It's very insistent that you not miss the thing that's happened. In a not really giving you a lot of faith to follow it yourself. But that's not been a huge frustration to me. Like, I've genuinely just been like, oh, it's the first time in a while it's felt like a Katamari that wasn't just existing to put the Katamari name on a box.
And if I'm honest, when it teleports me back into the time machine to take me to a new place, it's just putting me closer to the more accessible menu. and I'd always prefer a menu over a stupid free roam overworld.
Well, you don't want to run to the little houses with the people stood outside to get to the levels.
Not if I don't have to. No, I do not. But I do like the game a lot. I'm having a lot of... The music is top fucking notch again. I swear to Christ, I would buy a Katamari game every time it comes out just for the music alone, and I will buy the soundtrack for this one.
And
this
I feel
is great.
like, from what I've seen, I feel like this has a lot of variation of music, because
Yes.
there's good, unique tracks for every level within an era that are stylistically very different from the tracks in the next era you go to. Like, it's felt like it's throwing a lot more unique compositions at me than a lot of Katamari's do, and that's great. This series has bloody good music.
Yep. So I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, agreed. I'm having a better time with it than I have done in a Katamari in a while. This is what, if you like Katamari, this is one of the good Katamaris.
Yep.
What about you, Steph? You played anything else this week?
On a whim. Well, not necessarily on a whim. For a bit of a refresher, because I didn't know they're bringing out a new Let It Die. I re-downloaded
yes.
Let It Die and tried to play it.
How did that go?
After 30 minutes of admin, I played 5 minutes and then stopped. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's that. Moving on. It really reminded me, like, how hard it is to get back into a freemium game or games set up like freemium games once you've been away from them. Because, yeah, not only did I have to sit through all the different things that have changed and wander into a world full of systems I had no familiarity with, I had a rewards box that was full. It had space for 50 rewards, and I think it had over 100 things in there, and it wouldn't let me do anything. It wouldn't let me play the game or anything until I'd whittled it down. But I had a small inventory, so I couldn't get them all out. And it was so much like Tetrising between multiple inventories, and eventually just being on the last bits, I was like, fuck this, just destroy. By the time I'd done it, my enthusiasm to actually play had gone. I just couldn't be bothered. I went through a few floors, basically until I got killed by something and then gave up.
This is the Grasshopper manufacturer.
This is Grasshopper's little live servicey thing.
Right.
That was really fucking weird.
That's one of the few of these, of the live service games I've actually spent any time playing. I thought it was interesting, but I never engaged with any of, the microtransaction-y elements. But I thought the game itself, if rough, was interesting.
Absolutely. And even going back, it's like, I am fascinated by aspects of this. I just don't care enough about any of them because of the framework.
Right.
It's one of those games where it's like, I never thought it would get a sequel, and the fact it is getting a sequel does give me some hope, because I'm like, it has interesting ideas that felt like a first draft I want to see iterated on.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the first game is rough, and it is a miracle that they're giving it another shot.
Yeah, and I do wonder if it's a case of them wanting to do that game's world and various ideas a bit more justice by putting them in a game that feels more quote-unquote proper. But then I don't know much about it. I just saw it listed on the PlayStation Store when I was just sort of looking at the latest releases. I saw it in the upcoming, and I'm like, holy fuck, I have not thought about that game since it was brand new. I will say, like, I was not tempted to keep playing Let It Die after I had a little cursory look back at it, but it did make me more interested to see what this next one will be like. Because yeah, I like a good Grasshopper game. Killer 7 is one of my all-time best ones from games, and I've always had a fondness for some of the others, not all of them, but even the ones that I really don't like, I will respect that there's nothing quite like them. And so I'm always going to give them some time.
So, and maybe this is something that others will have to... I have a question about this type of game now. Because I was listening to you describe the experience of coming back to this live service that you'd long not participated in, and having to deal with all of the changes in admin and all of that. And, like... does it say something about the expectation for what these games are and the reality of them, and how long the publisher anticipates them to continue, that they do not have mechanisms in place to ease the return of a player who had been there previously and spent some time away.
I think that's a damn good point.
Like, I would think these are the sorts of people that you really want, because they already had some investment in it. And it's hard to get new audience, right? It's, if you have these people who are already there or who already saw something in it, getting them back would be a good thing for the sustainability of it. And easing that process, I would think, it doesn't have to be a high priority, but I would think that some consideration would be made. And I wonder if that's happening at any of these places, or if it's just not, and what that says. And I'd be very curious to know, some of the thinking behind why that's excluded, or if there was just no thinking about it at all, like it wasn't considered. I don't know. But that's an idea that you would think, if the intent was for these to exist in perpetuity forever and ever and ever, that they would have the realization that you can't capture new audience forever, and you're gonna have people come back.
They
but
seem to think
again,
the industry can do that. I would hazard a guess that they don't think about it because they're so focused on retention that they don't think about returns. That would be my guess.
My argument to this would be the prevalence of MMOs in particular, at a certain point releasing MMO Classic that plays like the version without any of the expansions on it, being a really frequent point of the MMO life cycle, maybe indicates that at a certain point there is a giving up that happens on getting people into the current experience, or lapsed players back into the current experience, and going, our best way to recapture you is to get rid of all the shit that the live service has done and let you start from scratch. Because back in version 1, we had a good onboarding that you might do.
That's also possible. That is possible.
I don't think that's the whole thing, but I think part of it is that you see it weirdly in like trading card games as well. Fan rule sets popping up of play version 1 of the card game because the onboarding for the modern version with all of its updates is too intimidating, as a sort of cop-out around actually onboarding people into the current state of the ongoing game.
Yes, funny enough, you see it outside of the medium of games as well. I mean, that's what all these continuity reboots in comics are, eventually, with a long
100%.
run. It just gets so sprawling and complicated that they really do think, fuck it, start again, because we're not going to attract people to this absolute sprawling mess anymore.
I mean, it very much sounds like that is about where we're about to hit with the Marvel movies.
Oh, absolutely.
The next couple of big Avengers films are probably going to be we reset the continuity, we start over from scratch, don't worry about having seen them all.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm actively not worried about seeing them all. I want that to be known.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about you.
I'm so done with them now. Like, the last one I saw, I think, was the Far From Home with Mysterio in it, and then Marvel had peaked for me by that point.
I watched Spider-Verse, but that I watched.
I've seen the Spider-Verses. I've seen those.
But I watched that independent of anything else.
Yes.
Like, I would have seen that if it weren't part of the MCU, because it's a really cool looking animated Spider-Man movie. That would have gotten me to watch it. Yeah. The last I prepared to watch Ant-Man and Wasp. That was the last one. Like, I haven't seen Endgame. I haven't seen I haven't seen the Avengers that sets up Endgame. Infinity War? Didn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm so far behind.
I'll say, as someone who has kept up on them just out of curiosity, for better or worse, curious about them, there's been a couple that have been interesting that have worked as relatively standalone films.
Mm-hmm.
I very much enjoyed Thunderbolts earlier this year, which was their equivalent of like DC would do Suicide Squad.
Right.
It's we got a bunch of like villain types that have come up, and like we're making a hero team out of villains. That was genuinely fun. They had a lot of very interestingly done characters, and
Harrison Ford is Thunderbolt Ross, right? Is that Harrison Ford, or they got someone huge to play that role?
Yes, I think so. I forget now. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a couple of decent ones in amongst a lot of chaff. I did play one other thing this week I want to very briefly talk about. I don't want to get into too many specifics other than to put this game on people's radar for a couple of weeks from now when the full game comes out. I played the demo for a game called Goodnight Universe, which is from the developers of a game called Before Your Eyes, which was one of my Game of the Year nods a couple of years ago when it came to PSVR 2. Before Your Eyes, I've talked about before on this show. It was that game that does eye tracking and blink tracking to have you skipping through a person's life when you blink. Like, occasionally you'll blink, and in the moment your eyes are closed, you'll just be at another point in someone's life. Which did a beautiful job of capturing, like, the fleeting nature of life when you think back on memories. Absolutely beautiful game. The new game they've got, Goodnight Universe, has you playing as a psychic baby.
What?
You are a psychic baby whose inner monologue is just a full-grown man having a conversation, who is considerably more aware of the world than you would expect a baby to be, desperately trying to achieve being loved by their family.
This is just the plot of Look Who's Talking.
From the demo, the impression I get is that the narrative here is, hey, insecurity about having to perform to be worth love can set in real early. Be a baby doing psychic stuff to, like, help out around the house when your parents are looking the other way so that maybe they'll love you.
But if they're looking the other way, they won't see that you've done it. How will you get... This doesn't make sense. This baby's not thinking these things through.
Stupid baby.
A hypothetical example of where I think this is going is things like, oh no, Mum and Dad are arguing about, like, the house being in a like an untidy, unclean state. If I, psychic baby, do some of the tidying up, maybe it'll stop them fighting and they'll love me again. Like, shit like that seems to be where it's going narratively. I am fascinated and terrified of the emotional toll this game is going to give.
You had me at psychic baby.
No.
By the time you were talking about the baby wanting to be loved by its parents, it started to gnaw a bit close to my bones.
Yeah, this is why I was like, look, I have a lot of respect for this team's first game, and the execution of what they're doing in this is fascinating, but while I want to put this on people's radar, I wanted to be very upfront about what it seems the plot is, and that this is not going to be for everyone. In much the same way that Before Your Eyes, fascinating game, a heavy play if you are disabled. This seems like it is going to delve into similarly heavy territory that I trust this developer to handle respectfully, but it's not going to be for everyone.
Ugh.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, I am very interested while going, be aware of where the conceit is. It ain't going to be for everyone.
That kind of stuff makes me cry way too easy. Like, anything to do with, like, childhood like that.
Yeah.
Like, it really upsets me for personal reasons.
Yeah,
and oh god, you had me at psychic baby though.
Yeah, I know, psychic baby, right? I am very similar. The last game this team did had me crying in a VR headset to the point that I had to take it off and clean the lenses because I cried in there too much. Fantastic game, but yeah, crying in VR, comes with some negatives. I fully expect this game to make me sob, but the demo has made me go, yeah, I feel like you can handle this respectfully. I'm in to be emotionally destroyed. Either of you played anything else this week you want to talk about?
Playing Alien Storm, Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah, for no reason. Yeah. Just the old Mega Drive fucking not... I guess it's a beat-em up, even though you've got guns, but they're not quite guns because they're really short range, so they behave like a beat-em up. I don't know why I'm playing it. I was really bored last night. I don't know why I'm saying it as if, like, I've done something terrible while I was drunk.
Yeah,
I've done
you don't need
nothing
to
controversial.
apologise.
I've just played Alien Storm.
Yeah.
Why are you getting on my case?
Was it worth playing? Did you have a time worth having?
Insofar as I had literally nothing to do, but desperately had to give my brain something to have happen at it, then Alien Storm did what Alien Storm always does. Its job. I like having I like that Alien Storm is around, because it does that for me. It's like, I can't think of anything to do, but God, I need to do something. And Alien Storm is always there, just, hey, buddy.
You can come to me.
Other than that, just more, Painkiller, the horde shooter, multiplayer Painkiller that isn't, I think, what anyone wanted, but I've actually really still like it a lot. It's still really satisfying guns, big, heavy, chunky boys. Not a lot to sort of unlock and get, though. Like, I've gotten everything I care to. And it's got its issues, for sure. Quite a few stability issues. Really annoying characters and stuff. But in terms of, like, throwing really cool guns at stuff, yeah. Stake launcher, really good. Big bouncy shuriken launcher, really good. Hand cannon that can ping pong bullets between enemies' heads, really good. Yeah, not a lot to say, because it really is just big gun shoot demon, but I think it's very good at it. I don't think I'm agreed with by the general public, but I really.
Since when has that ever stopped you?
Never stopped me at all.
Yeah. We got time for a couple of little newsy bits before we wrap today.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Most of the newsy bits we got this week are they're Xbox related in one way or another. So you know that Xbox has been making a bunch of decisions recently that are quite aggressive in terms of trying to get more customers to play their games. Things like putting a bunch of their games on PlayStation. Things like shutting down studios for games that like might not be the billion sellers they imagine them being. A lot of these decisions are apparently driven by the fact that Microsoft from the top down is pushing for a 30% profit margin for Xbox, which is considerably above the industry standard, reportedly.
Oh wow! So they're going to get even more disgusting. That's great.
This is the explanation for why they have been so disgusting for the last couple of years.
But the thing is they're never going to get that.
Nope.
So they're just going to be more disgusting.
Yeah, so apparently this is what's behind things like the cancellation of Perfect Dark, despite how far into development it was. It's behind a lot of the layoffs that have been happening. The increase in the price of their hardware, the Game Pass price increase that has just happened, Microsoft chasing a 30% profit margin.
That's actual madness. That is actual.
Yeah.
That's brain mayhem. It doesn't get talked about enough that the executives in charge of this shit is brain mayhem.
It's a finance situation. These are people who know nothing about the business of the games industry, but they do know about enterprise software sales, or whatever. They are looking at this from a perspective that just does not have a grounding, I think, in the realities of the business. And for a long time, Microsoft was kind of willing to just let Xbox do its thing, and they weren't exactly throwing money down the drain, but they were being willing to make this an investment. I think a lot of this, again, comes back to AI. I think Microsoft has
get to that.
A huge investment in AI that is just absolutely enormous at this point, and they are looking to find all of the aspects of their business that they can squeeze for the money to keep doing that, keep that line going up.
Yeah.
I hope it destroys them. Let me just say that.
Yeah, I'm going to read from Bloomberg, because I think they do a good job of summarizing, like, quite how excessively high that 30% profit target is.
Also, they broke this, I think. I think this is
But
Schreier's work
Bloomberg's
there.
This is a Bloomberg one. So a profit margin of 30% is basically a tremendously good year for most companies. Like, that is oh, you did the thing that's going to define you for the next decade, like that kind of good year. Since 2018, the highest average profit margin across the games industry peaked at 22.1% in 2020. Was down to 17.1% in 2024. So basically, they want all of their output for Xbox to be about twice as profitable as the industry average was last year.
Oh my god.
And they want that to be sustainable.
They want it to be about as profitable as Nintendo was in 2020. That's the kind of profit margin we're actually talking about. Nintendo's around there was like 29%. They want 30 every year.
Well, they don't want 30 every year. They want 30 every year for a while, and then they want to keep putting that up forever and ever, amen. Because they think that's how money works. Because these people like call themselves financial experts, but they don't understand what money is.
They want to outdo the profit percentage of a company whose whole business model is, let's make games cheaper on a few years old tech so that they will have higher profit margins. You can't be making games on like the fidelity scale that like a modern, Xbox or PC or PlayStation game is, and be making the same profit margins as Animal Crossing in a pandemic Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not feasible.
It will never cease to amaze me. I've done my job now for a long, long time, and I am still as shocked as I was 15 years ago that the people running this multi-billion-dollar industry is this dumb. That these people are so utterly thick. Like, they are... I've said this before in videos and stuff. Anyone listening right now, you are better at their job. Anyone listening, you are smarter than a game executive. You are more logical. You understand the world more. These people are absolute bone-headed goons.
So, Conrad, you brought up AI with regards to Microsoft. Funny that you brought that up. There's a Halo Combat Evolved remake that got announced, like, this past week.
Yes.
And it sure as hell seems like they're using generative AI to make this remaster. There was an interview, I don't have it to hand, there was an interview where someone basically just asked one of the creative team on the game, are you using generative AI in this remake? Because there had been a bunch of rumours leading up to the game's announcement that was the case. And they just talked around in bloody circles, being like, well, we have tools that one might consider generative AI available in our toolset. We use Photoshop, and Photoshop has generative fill, which I suppose is generative AI. Like, this kind of, like, talking around in bullshit circles. And ultimately, I apologize that I don't have to hand who it was that did this pressing. They went over the person who worked on Halo's head to Xbox to ask for a quote, and Xbox's quote basically boiled down to, "We do not have a mandate that forces any of our teams to use generative AI." Like, that's the most of a denial they would do is, well, we don't force anyone to do it. Which to me sounds like they're doing it.
Well, we're not making them do it. I don't know. Did someone tell you that someone made? No, nobody's making them do it. Hey, when this all blows up, don't look at us because they had a choice.
Yeah. Which leads into more stories about Microsoft and AI. A little more a sidestep this one. The United States government has been using AI videos of Halo to push ICE messaging on social media. Um,
And GameStop's been doing it too. Like, GameStop started this shit. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there was a GameStop image that was fucking Trump in Master Chief's armor, and badly. What's
JD
the other
Vance.
guy's name? JD Vance. A Photoshop of JD Vance where he looks like a chubby baby on Cortana's head.
Yeah, so as I understand it, this story starts with GameStop announcing the end of the console wars because of Microsoft putting Halo on PlayStation. Right?
Yeah.
And then the White House sees gaming news, the White House Communications Office sees gaming news popping off and tries to find a way to wedge themselves in it. So they start producing these AI Trump Halo things. And then GameStop, seeing what they've done, what they've started, comes back, and desperate to, like, get involved and be like, hey, what about us? What about us? Posts this terrible, like, Trump and Vance. And I think they photoshopped theirs.
I think GameStop is using Photoshop rather than, like, AI making these images. But yeah.
So once again, GameStop has the moral high ground over the White House.
This fucking story gets worse because, like, I was wondering, like, is Microsoft or Xbox gonna, like, have a go at the White House over this, or, like, have a bit of a shout that this is happening, because it's kind of associating their brand with the current US president. The point where I think they are probably going to take action might not be against the White House. The music director and composer for the original Halo decided to chime in and go, hey, I give the White House my permission for them to do this. I worked on Halo, I made the music for Halo, and I'm running for Congress, and I'm gonna play the Halo soundtrack as I go make America great again.
Oh, so you also own the music you wrote for Halo then? You still own that?
Right. It's very unlikely. Much like he's waded into the waters, like, all but making it sound like this is an official collaboration.
This is one of the most pathetic sequence of events I have heard in a while. What the fuck?
Right. So yeah, a Photoshop of the console wars are over led to people who worked on Halo boasting about their plans to fight the Covenant in Congress.
Absolutely amazing. God bless this country, truly.
Microsoft, are you sure you want to be involved in AI? This is what AI does.
Huh?
I think that's everything this week.
Christ. I couldn't get dumber.
Well, Laura, you're not running for Congress, but you are running a series of fantastic shows and books and other forms of media entertainment. Could you tell us about those, please?
You can find the stuff I do at Laura K. Buzz in the places that you find things. LauraKBuzzStore.com if you want to pick up audiobooks or ebooks of many of my books that exist. If you go to YouTube, you can see... what have I got a video going from this week? I've got a video going up about the fact that Kirby Air Riders has a dedicated accessibility menu and was shown off in a Nintendo Direct, and that is a really exciting, promising thing. ... Don't view this as a major change for Nintendo. It's probably more Sakurai-led, and we kind of delve into some depth on that. Go check that out. That'll be up tomorrow. Check out Dice Funk. I'm playing a dragon that is currently hoarding tall blue women, and is having to ride the line with my DM of at what point does my dragon horde officially swap to just being a harem of blue women. That's a fun show. Go check out Dice Funk. What about you, Conrad? Where are you out on the internet?
Oh, you can find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman, where I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com, and everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
That is correct. Patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this podcast and the currently still on hiatus web show and reviews on thejimquisition.com. We've got reviews up for Bull X Pit and Pokemon Z2 the thing with the Ekans in it on the website right now. Check out my work in Date Everything, Vampire Survivors, and Quantum Witch, which are 3 games that are available out in the world for you to buy. And hopefully I'll have some news on some wrestling dates coming soon. And thank you everyone who came to see me at Pinfall this past Sunday. That was a lovely show, even if I'm paying for it now by being incredibly ill. But thank you all so much for your continued support, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.